What if I told you the most intense and consequential rivalry of our time isn't being fought with tanks, planes, or ships? What if the deciding factor for global power in the 21st century comes down to something so small you can't even see it, a tiny slice of silicon smaller than your fingernail? This isn't science fiction. This is the reality of the global AI chip war between the United States and China. A battle that's already reshaping our world and will determine the future of everything from the smartphone in your hand to the car you drive, and even the future of warfare itself. It's a story of ambition, fear, and a technological race that will define who leads the world for the next 100 years. Let's rewind the clock just a little. For decades, the world of advanced microchips was a fairly straightforward story. The United States, with its innovation hubs in Silicon Valley and beyond, was the undisputed king. American companies like NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD designed the most powerful and sophisticated chips on the planet. They were the architects, drawing up the brilliant blueprints for these tiny electronic brains. But they didn't necessarily build them all themselves. The manufacturing, the highly complex process of actually fabricating these chips, was often outsourced to specialized foundries, most notably the legendary TSMC in Taiwan and Samsung in South Korea. China, meanwhile, was the world's factory. It assembled the final products, the iPhones, the laptops, the servers, using these advanced chips designed in America and built in Taiwan. It was a globalized system that, for a time, worked for everyone. The US held the keys to the most critical technology, and China became an economic powerhouse by building the devices that used it. But this dependency was a thorn in Beijing's side. Chinese leaders saw this reliance on American technology not just as an economic vulnerability, but as a critical national security threat. Imagine trying to build a world-class military or a leading economy when your most essential component, the brain for all your advanced technology, is designed by your primary geopolitical rival. So, China embarked on an ambitious, multi-billion-dollar mission called Made in China 2025. The goal was clear: to break free from its reliance on the West and become a self-sufficient technological superpower capable of designing and manufacturing its own world-class chips. They began pouring staggering amounts of money into their own semiconductor industry, nurturing companies like SMIC and Huawei's chip division, HiSilicon, in a desperate race to catch up. This is where the United States decided to draw a line in the sand. Washington watched China's progress with growing alarm. The fear was twofold. Economically, they worried China would use stolen intellectual property and massive government subsidies to dominate the industry, pushing American companies out. But the bigger fear was military. These advanced AI chips aren't just for playing video games or powering your social media feed. They are essential for next-generation weapons, for military artificial intelligence, for surveillance, and for cyber warfare. The Pentagon and the White House concluded that allowing China unfettered access to these chips was like handing them the keys to a future military advantage. So they decided to build a wall. Not a physical wall, but a technological one. Starting around 2019 and escalating dramatically since, the US government has unleashed a series of powerful export controls, tariffs, and bans. These weren't just attacks on goods. They were a strategic move to cripple China's ability to produce high-end chips. The US didn't just ban the sale of the most advanced American-designed chips to China. They went a step further, targeting the very tools and equipment needed to make them. The crown jewel of this equipment is a machine made by a Dutch company called ASML. This machine uses something called extreme ultraviolet, or EUV, lithography. Think of it as the world's most advanced photocopier, using a special kind of light to etch the impossibly complex circuits onto silicon wafers. Without these EUV machines, it is physically impossible to manufacture the most cutting-edge chips. The US successfully lobbied the Dutch government to block ASML from selling these critical machines to China. They effectively cut off the supply of not just the final product, but the master tools needed to create it. This is a huge move with global consequences. If you're finding this breakdown helpful and see the magnitude of what's happening, do me a quick favor and hit that like button, and share this with someone you think needs to know about it. It really helps get this important information out there. Faced with this technological blockade, many experts believed China's advanced chip ambitions were dead in the water. They were cut off from the best designs, the best software, and the best manufacturing equipment. It seemed they were destined to remain years, if not a decade, behind the curve. For a while, it looked like the American strategy was working perfectly. But then, in the late summer of 2023, something unexpected happened that sent shockwaves through the tech and geopolitical worlds. The Chinese tech giant Huawei, a company that had been a primary target of US sanctions, quietly released a new smartphone, the Mate 60 Pro. When analysts took the phone apart, they found a surprisingly advanced 7-nanometer chip inside, a level of sophistication that many believed China was incapable of producing on its own. The mystery was immediate. How did they do it? Did they find a secret workaround? Did they manage to build a production line using less advanced equipment, a process that would be incredibly difficult and expensive? Or was another country secretly helping them? The US government launched an immediate investigation. This single chip became a symbol of Chinese defiance and technological resilience. It suggested that while the American wall had slowed China down, it hadn't stopped them. They were finding a way to climb it, brick by brick, even if it was a difficult and costly ascent. This is one of the most debated topics in this whole rivalry. What do you think? Is the Huawei chip a true sign that China is successfully overcoming US sanctions? Or is it more of a one-off success that will be difficult to replicate at scale? I'm genuinely curious to read your perspective on this, so please drop your thoughts in the comments section below. This high-stakes drama isn't just a two-player game. The entire world is being forced to choose sides. Countries like the Netherlands, Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea are caught in the middle of this superpowered tug-of-war. They are home to essential companies in the chip supply chain, like ASML in the Netherlands or TSMC in Taiwan. And they face immense pressure from Washington to align with its restrictions on China. But China is also their largest trading partner, so cutting ties completely would be economically devastating. It's a delicate and dangerous balancing act for these nations. For us, the consumers, the effects are slowly starting to trickle down. This decoupling of the tech world, where two separate and competing tech ecosystems might emerge, one aligned with the US and one with China, could lead to a host of consequences. Innovation could slow down as global collaboration is stifled. The cost of electronics could rise as supply chains are reconfigured and made less efficient. Your future smartphone or car might be built on a completely different technological foundation depending on where it's made. The seamless global tech world we've grown accustomed to is fracturing, and we are all living through the initial tremors. So, where do we stand now? We are in a state of tense equilibrium. The United States continues to tighten its controls, trying to maintain its technological lead, which it sees as essential for its national and economic security. China, on the other hand, is fueled by a powerful mix of national pride and strategic necessity, pouring unprecedented resources into its domestic chip industry to achieve self-reliance at any cost. Neither side is showing any sign of backing down. This is not a short-term trade dispute. It's a long-term, generational struggle for the technological soul of the 21st century. The outcome remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. The world we knew, built on integrated global supply chains and technological cooperation, is changing before our very eyes. The race is on, and the finish line is nowhere in sight. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most critical issues of our time and want to stay informed on how this story develops, please take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring that notification bell so you don't miss our future updates. Your support means the world and helps us continue making content like this. Thanks for watching.